Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. A young man has been killed on his way to work in a crash at Spreyton early this morning. The 24-year-old motorcyclist died at the scene after colliding with a car. It's prompted yet another plea from police for drivers to watch out for vulnerable road users.
A young man's life cut tragically short. Officers examine his twisted motorcycle. Nearby, the smashed windscreen of a ute shows the dreadful scale of the force.
It's tragic, yes. A young gentleman on his way to work, it is tragic.
It was still dark when police say the ute heading south on Kelsey Tier Road in Spreyton turned at an intersection, slamming head-on into the motorcycle. Investigators still don't know why he failed to see the oncoming traffic, but speed has been ruled out as a cause, as has any fault with the victim.
This motorcyclist certainly wasn't committing any offences, was wearing all of the approved safety gear and was riding to the conditions as well.
A 59-year-old fourth man was taken to the Mersey Community Hospital with minor injuries. He's been treated for shock and has already spoken to police. Over the past 5 years, motorcyclists have represented a third of deaths and serious injuries.
Be very, very observant, regardless of what time of day it is, but just be very observant of motorcycles and also their surroundings as well.
It's the 16th life lost on Tasmanian roads this year. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
The Premier's chief media advisor will remain employed despite being convicted of driving almost 4 times over the legal blood alcohol limit. Andrew Hodgson today pleaded guilty to the drink driving charge, saying in a statement he accepts full responsibility for the matter. Michelle Wisby has this report.
Here at the Hobart Magistrates Court this morning, the Premier's top media advisor was convicted of driving with a blood alcohol reading of 0.197. 35-year-old Andrew Malcolm Hodgson was charged with 1 count of drink driving, also failing to control a vehicle after he crashed into a tree and a parked car in early May. In court, he pleaded guilty to the charges, driving almost 4 times over the legal limit. The government today confirmed he will remain employed.
Drink driving is not acceptable. Drink driving is a crime. It's my understanding that the man in question has accepted the findings of the court. I understand that he is deeply regretful of his actions.
Opposition parties say his continued employment is a judgment call for the Premier.
That's a matter for the Premier to decide with respect to his staffing and what behaviour he regards as appropriate or otherwise.
A person who is working for the Premier of Tasmania should uphold a certain standard of conduct. To do otherwise reflects very poorly on the Premier.
The magistrate disqualified Mr Hodgson from driving for 15 months and fined him $1,200.
An attempt from the Labor Party to declare no confidence in Tasmania's embattled health minister has failed after the government gagged debate before it started. In question time, Labor grilled Michael Ferguson over the rollout of a dedicated adolescent mental health unit after confusion erupted over its design and build. Rebel Speaker Sue Hickey then voted against her own party in favour of debating the no confidence motion, but it was ultimately voted down.
What it does show is that there is disunity in the Liberal Party, that there is disunity with respect to their confidence or otherwise in the Minister, Michael Ferguson, and that is because of the problems that we see plaguing the health system.
I have absolute confidence in Michael Ferguson. This is Labor clearly playing stunts to try and distract from the fact that they don't have an alternative budget and they don't have a plan for Tasmania.
Today was Labor's 3rd attempt to declare no confidence in the minister this year. A jury in the murder trial of Darren Ward Gale is finally set to retire after more than 6 weeks of proceedings. Mr Gale stands accused of the 2016 murder of Noel Joseph Ingham. The victim's decapitated body was found in a shallow grave in Dolverton after he vanished from his Ulverston home. Mr Gale says the death was accidental but has admitted to removing the victim's head. The jury is expected to start deliberations as early as tomorrow. And a Launceston man has admitted he was involved in the death of Bradley Wade Breward after previously entering a not guilty plea. The body of the Mowbray man was found in a lake near Devonport in 2017. Ruby Kamain has this report.
Ricky John Izard faced the Launceston Supreme Court after previously pleading not guilty to the alleged murder of Bradley Wade Breward in 2017. Police had accused Izard of suffocating the 22-year-old with a plastic bag before dumping his body in Lake Eugenia near Devonport. His remains were discovered the following February. Today, 28-year-old Izard pleaded guilty to manslaughter, as well as to a string of other offences, including aggravated burglary at a Newman property, where the victim was last seen on New Year's Day 2 years ago. The court heard he was allegedly armed with a screwdriver. Izard also admitted to perverting the course of justice over the alleged use of cleaning products to dispose of the body. Ricky Izard is set to face court again on July 1.
Dark Mofo is preparing to launch what could be its most bizarre and confronting experience yet. Cyborg involves a giant inflatable pig giving birth to small adults in latex piglet costumes. And a warning, this story contains images which some viewers may find confronting.
Welcome to the pig pen that's been set up inside the Avalon Theatre. Starting tomorrow, this will be the home of what could be one of Dark Mofo's strangest attractions.
You know, it really walks this line of, being really quite confrontational and absurd, and I think that's often what we are trying to aim for.
By Japanese artist Cyborg, the performance involves the pig giving birth to piglets, small adults dressed in latex costumes. But as the show progresses, it takes sinister, sexual and weird turns.
And they all sort of scramble out and try and get to the teat, and they're fighting each other to try and get some milk from the mother pig. And then a farmer girl comes out and starts to slaughter the pigs. In 2017, Dark Mofo came under criticism for Herman Nitsch's gory performance using a bull carcass. The butchering in this performance is fake, but is still expected to be confronting for some people. I don't think safe is something we ever really think about or concern ourselves that much with, so I don't think we've really considered it from the angle of being safer. I think it's definitely still an exploration of those themes in a similar way.
The free show is all ages, if parents approve. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
A 60-year-old man on a mission to run 7 marathons in as many days has completed his Tasmanian leg. Teacher Adrian Bowl from Melbourne was pounding the sand at 7 Mile Beach, raising funds for Food Bank. It was his 6th marathon in the journey, with the final to be run in Melbourne tomorrow. Mr Bowl, who trained for 17 months, says he wants to inspire people to maintain a healthy lifestyle.
And I really want these people to take note of that, look after their bodies, treat it like a temple and thrive health-wise.
$4,000 has been raised so far. Tasmanian children battling cancer have received a boost in their fight against the disease. Funding from a national charity will support the Clinical Trials Unit at the Royal Hobart Hospital, giving them access to groundbreaking treatment in their home state.
It's something no family ever wants to go through. Pat Podger knows firsthand the impact of childhood cancers, losing her grandson 2 decades ago.
We lost a 3-year-old grandson 20 years ago to a totally inoperable, incurable brain tumour.
Childhood cancer treatments can be an invasive process, requiring clinical trials. Families previously had to fly to Melbourne for access, an emotionally and physically draining process.
You're getting chemotherapy and toxic drugs put through your body. If you're putting travel on top of that, it's a rigour that the kids don't need.
Since 2017, the Royal Hobart has hosted a unit allowing local access to trials. It'll continue for another 3 years, thanks to funding from the Kids Cancer Project.
And it gives children in Tasmania access to international clinical trials, but while they're staying here in Hobart.
They spend a lot of time within their own community, often attending school on an ongoing basis, is an enormous psychological support.
Pat has welcomed the funding announcement. She says the more trails that are made available, the closer a cure is.
Every day you get closer, which is the main reason we should go on supporting it, really.
Associate Professor Heath says they're working on securing access to the latest trials, with a new German leukemia study in their sights.
Not previously been used in children with leukemia, and so this is very exciting, and we're looking forward to improved outcomes.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Following their stunning Lacasselle Cup win over Devonport, South Hobart is ready to test themselves against the country's best teams in the coveted FFA Cup. And with one of the strongest lists in the club's history, the boys from Darcy Street say they won't be there just to make up the numbers. All smiles and sheer relief after last night's nail-biter in front of more than 2,000 fans at KG5.
A very proud man today of the team. Of the football club as well, but the players have been immense because we've had a lot of adversity this year. To have such a young team and to play with such exuberance and confidence, it was wonderful watching them last night.
Sealing the 2-0 win in the dying minutes of the match, South now prepare for a return into the FFA Cup spotlight for the first time since 2015. And having been a part of that, one of the club's most experienced players says the side is in a far better position to shake things up this time around.
It's a super bunch of talent with the young fellas coming through. Probably the most talented group that I've been a part of.
Last night's win made even more special for South's rising star, Bradley Lacasselle, with the cup named in honour of his grandfather Milan.
My dad was fortunate enough to do it in his first year, and I'm glad that I got to carry on that tradition. I never met my grandfather, so this was my main memory of the cup. I've watched every final all my life, so it was really just a dream come true for me.
And that dream could get even sweeter with the FFA Cup round of 32 set to be drawn later this month, which could potentially see South taking on an A-League club in their very first match.
I think we've got enough experience in the side to settle us down, and I think the young players play with no fear.
Tasmanian-born swimmer Ariane Titmus has been pipped in the 200 metres freestyle final at the World Swimming Trials in Brisbane. After qualifying 5th fastest in her heat this morning, Titmus finished second behind Emma McKeon. She'll go on to the World Swimming Titles in South Korea next month. Students have battled it out for school bragging rights at Geilston Bay today, with runners treated to a bit of sunshine for day one of the annual Southern Primary Schools Cross Country Carnival.
We've got about 1,000 students here from 19 different schools across grades 3 to 6. All competing as an individual but on a team basis.
The event runs for 3 days before the overall school winner is crowned.
Good evening. Most of yesterday's rain cleared today, with a few showers continuing over the west, north and far south. Hobart 18 degrees, Launceston, Burnie and Devonport all 17. Friendly Beaches the top with 19 today, St Helens 18 degrees as the east and southeast found plenty of sunshine. Ouse 17, Low Head, Grove and the Islands 16, Strawn 15. Now, as mentioned, the east and southeast mostly cloud free, bit of cloud covering the rest of the state today, and there it is moving over from the west. On the bigger picture, we do have a cold front brewing in the bight, producing plenty of cloud to the west and southwest of Tasmania, and that pushes back over Western Australia. A cold pool of unstable air is following that front as well. Now, the cold front approaches and crosses Tasmania and Victoria during tomorrow with a second front on its heels. The remainder of the country is dominated by high pressure. The winds northerly at 20 to 30 knots, reaching 35 knots over the west before shifting west to northwest in the afternoon and evening. Swells to 3 metres in western and southern waters. A gale warning for waters between South East Cape and Sandy Cape has been issued, a strong wind warning for remaining coastal waters and a small craft wind alert for the lakes. And we do have a flood watch as well for northern river basins. Forecast for tomorrow, rain developing for Hobart, 16 the top, 15 for Geeveston, rain on the way for Bothwell and 15 degrees. Launceston 16 with rain on the way, a windy afternoon for Devonport as well with 16 the high and 15 for Cressy. Burnie tomorrow, a maximum of 16 degrees, a windy afternoon with rain. Rain also, some heavy falls for Strawn 15, 16 for Curry on King Island. And for St Helens tomorrow, Expecting some rain, 17 degrees, 17 for Swansea, rain developing also for Orford later in the day and 16. On Thursday, showers over the north, west and far south, extending over central areas later. Fine on Friday, apart from another shower over the west and northwest. Partly cloudy on Saturday with showers again for those same areas. A shower for Perth tomorrow, rain easing from Adelaide, periods of rain over Melbourne and Canberra, partly cloudy in Sydney and Brisbane. Clear conditions over Hobart at the moment, it's 13, but mostly cloudy in the north, Launceston 12 and Devonport 13 degrees. And tonight's energy saving tip from the staff at Aurora Energy is to use the sun to dry your washing instead of an electricity hungry dryer. Well, that's how I do it, Joe, all my delicates up there in the window drying naturally.
A sight to behold, your lucky wife. Thank you very much for that, Murph. That's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.